Fiancé assaults best friend at bachelor party. Wedding cancelled, friendships shattered, and legal battles looming in shocking turn of events. Original post. I don't know what to do. My, F28 Finance, M28, Alex has a BFF, Danny 28, since they were 4. She's not like the usual Reddit BFF. She's a lovely sweet person who has never crossed boundaries with Alex or their 2 other friends Marcus and Daniel. The 4 are very close. Danny is gay and always was. She is very much a woman but likes to dress in jeans and t-shirts and not in any feminine clothing. She is lean tall, has short hair and is just one of the boys in a lot of ways. This weekend was the Alex bachelor party. All 4 plus 2 other of Alex's friends went along. It was to a coastal town that's well known for hosting bachelor and bachelorette parties, but there's no strip club or anything. They stayed in an Airbnb and scuba diving and kayaking planned. First night I went to an okay dinner restaurant and nightclub and home. Last night was the issue. They went to the nightclub and headed back to the house. Marcus and Daniel, who are both single, brought back 2 girls from the nightclub and got busy in their bedrooms. The rest of the group were drinking in the living room, but things started to get a bit noisy. 2 of the friends began complaining that they never got the chance to go to a strip club and had never seen breasts and buttocks. They started blaming their wives for this and even resorted to calling them offensive names. Danny told them to shush as it was ruining the mood, and they both thought it would be funny if they saw Danny's body naked to make up for it. The thing is, Alex joined in and they stripped her. She was screaming loudly and Marcus and Daniel came running and rescued Danny and put her in a bedroom with the girls and had a fight with the 3 men. Daniel doesn't drink due to a chronic medical condition and the medication he is on. So they packed up and took Danny and the 2 girls and left the other 3. Danny was hysterical and Marcus wanted her to go to the police but she wouldn't. She was afraid to go home, so they ended up dropping the girls off and taking Danny to her parents, which was an hour away. Marcus was at my door at 7 a.m. this morning and he told me what happened, that if he ever sees Alex again he's afraid of how things could go. He told me that if he can convince Danny to press charges he will. Then he left. Alex returned about 3 this afternoon. He was a thing normally until I told him Marcus had visited. He was very nervous and tried to play down what happened as a joke that got out of hand. I'm devastated. I heard him out but he knew I wasn't accepting what he was saying. I told him Danny may be going to the police and he got very panicked and pale. He said she had him blocked and he wanted to go talk to her. I told him she wasn't at her place as she was too afraid he or his buddies would turn up there. I asked him to leave and he didn't want to go but I insisted. He was crying saying it was a prank that got out of hand. I heard him out only as a courtesy to our 2-year relationship, but I'm done. I don't know this man. I don't know if I should reach out to Danny or just do nothing. Marcus and I have been in constant contact and he agrees that I have no option but to end things. I don't know where to start with canceling everything as the wedding was in 5 weeks, but it seems trivial compared to what Danny is going through right now. Marcus is convinced that Danny is going to the police after talking to her parents, so I think Alex is in trouble. I can't support him on this. Maybe I'm wrong as he was drunk and probably had taken other things, but this was his friend from age 4 and he did this to her. I've not blocked Alex but I've not replied or picked up any of his calls. Update. Sorry, I don't know how to do updates, so posting this separately. It's been a terrible day. I can't reach out to my friends yet as I'm ashamed. I did tell my parents and my brother and they have been wonderful. My brother brought his friend with him when he came to stay and today both of them packed up every bit of my ex's stuff and took it to his parents' house. X was there and just asked if that meant I was finished with him and my brother said yes, and did he really expect any other reaction? His father intervened and told him not to say anything more. He told my brother to tell me to contact him about canceling the wedding. I'm not contacting his father ever. My parents are handling the cancellation of the wedding and my father got in contact with my cousin who is a lawyer and he is going to help and advise me as needed. I've to disentangle myself from X on leases, bank account savings and such, although my brother made me transfer all of my money from joint account savings and daily accounts to my own account. It's a mess. I tried to ring Danny but she isn't up for speaking to anyone, so I just texted her that I was there for her and that I had broken up with Alex. She hasn't replied and I don't expect she will. She's in a bad way apparently. Daniel spent 3 hours with me today. There's a lot going on but I'm afraid to say too much for fear of damaging any court case. Just to say, there are 2 videos of the incident. One by Jeb, one of the 2 friends. A lot of it is chaotic but the last part is clear and telling apparently. The owners of the rental house apparently have gotten involved and have footage but I can't say more. When Marcus left me he went to both those guys' wives and told them what happened. Jeb's wife has been very helpful, apparently, and she has split from him. The other guy's wife too has left him. Things are going how most of you want them to go, that's all I will say. Well, I will add it was worse than what Marcus shared. Daniel told me that before Dani found her style she had long hair and dressed feminine and was stunningly beautiful, and all three of them were in love with her as teens. Alex took her rejection very personally apparently, and Daniel says he was angry and bitter for a couple of years but hid it from her. They thought he had gotten over it, but Daniel feels this smacks of revenge against her. Scary if this is true. I have and continue to receive hundreds of texts from Alex. He told me his father told him to stop texting me, but he can't. I haven't replied or blocked based on your advice. This is very hard and I don't know what way all this is going to end up. Sorry about any mistakes and typos, I'm not doing well. If there's more I will post again if I'm able. Update 2. Hi, all my last update is removed, but if anyone is interested I thought I'd post the latest and get some advice. I got a call from Dani. Daniel has been ever present and I'm guessing it was because he knew she was going to call. There's a lot more to the story. The first night was normal as I said, but on Saturday Alex, Jeb and their friend decided not to go scuba diving with Dani, Daniel and Marcus. Dani was feeling very hungover, so after an hour she gave up and went back to the Airbnb. She walked into the living room to find all three guys engaging in sexual acts with two women. Jeb shouted at her to get out as this was costing them a fortune. The women were escorts. She left and went back to the boat and only told Marcus what she saw. When they all went back later, Alex told her to not tell me as it was just his last bit of freedom. She told him she was disgusted with him and that he wasn't free. She told him she would have to think about what to do. Marcus convinced her to stay another night as he and Daniel had met the two girls the night before and were seeing them again that night, and if Dani wanted to leave then Daniel would have to take her as he was her ride and there wasn't public transport in the tiny town. So Alex cheated, as did the other two. Marcus told their wives that morning, but not me. He was going to do it in stages as he knew I was in shock. The actual assault went further than Marcus told me also. And while Alex hadn't actually done anything beyond pulling off her clothes, unlike the other two, he stood by and watched and did nothing to help her. She said she thought he had taken shrooms earlier but couldn't be sure. Marcus and Daniel did rescue her, but things had already escalated. She went to the police immediately and she got to her parents. The Airbnb owners had also gone independently when they saw the footage. All three men are facing the consequences of their actions. Dani told me she was sorry she didn't leave and told me immediately like she wanted to do. She is very distraught and I didn't want to make things worse for her. I don't think I'm needed for any legal proceedings, so I finally blocked Alex and his parents. The wedding is cancelled. And I'm just starting to disentangle myself from Alex on bank accounts and such. Here's my issue. I'm feeling very angry towards Marcus. It feels like he didn't really care about me. He stopped Dani from telling me so he could continue to shack up with the girl he met. He apparently feels guilty because if they had left, Dani would not have been attacked. He didn't do me the courtesy of telling me that Alex cheated that morning like he did with the other two wives. It's not like he was sparing my feelings because my ex assaulting another woman was a pretty damn bad thing to hear. He didn't tell me the full extent of the attack. Dani is still unsure if Alex wasn't just waiting his turn, or if all he was going to do was watch. I should have been told that ASAP. And not from Dani because the conversation was incredibly difficult for her. Daniel didn't know about the escorts at all and didn't know Marcus hadn't shared the full story of what they saw when they burst in. Daniel has been my rock. I need some perspective here. Is it okay to be angry at Marcus? Is it misplaced anger? I'm pretty angry at Alex though, and that's all I feel towards him. Can anyone give me a different perspective I'm missing? Marcus and I had been in constant contact. He's already back at work, so it was messages/texts and occasional calls. He actually visited last night, but I didn't open the door to him. Daniel is saying whatever I feel right now is okay, but I think he's just placating me. I don't know who to trust anymore. I don't have to have any more contact with Alex and think the case will move along without me. I'm thinking of telling Daniel that I need a break from him and Marcus and that group of friends. Dani and I have said we will stay in touch, but I can't see us being very close. My best friend who I finally confided in thinks I should just step away from them all now for good and try to move forward. My parents agree and think it's necessary for healing. My brother thinks Daniel has been nothing but great and I shouldn't cut him off. But they all seem to be a package deal, but without Alex now obviously. So I think it's probably all or nothing. What should I do? I don't want to be ungrateful, but a clean break feels right. Update 3. I've been putting off writing this update, but I'm back because I need even more advice and an outside perspective. The comments have been pretty helpful so far. Thank you. It's long, but I'll do my best to shorten it. Trigger warnings for SA drugs violence. First of all, Dani and I have bonded. She and I talk every day and message constantly. I didn't expect that, but it's truly wonderful. She says she needs a good straight friend right now, JK, and honestly she is a great person and has been a huge support to me despite what she has been going through. I told her I posted here as I felt guilty as to tell my story I had to tell hers. She was okay with it. She is thinking of waiving her right to anonymity when the trial comes as she wants everyone to know she was raped and by who. Dani has quit her job, moved to her parents full-time and is in therapy. She's just about okay, surviving still rather than living, but she is so strong and amazing. Justice moves slowly here, so there isn't too much of an update on the legal process. Marcus was told however he would not face charges for assault for attacking the two actively attacking Dani. I went back to work and it was awful. I work for a tiny startup. Oscar, who works there, is friendly with Marcus and my brother. We are all into martial arts and attend the same dojo. So I'm getting a lot of pity. I'd have been okay with sympathy or empathy, but being pitied sucks. Still, it's better than being home all day doing nothing. Daniel gave me space as I asked, and he is truly a good guy. There's nothing romantic there at all though. I'm not in a fit state for anything like that and won't be for a very, very long time, and he is just a good guy. No ulterior motives. We text a bit and he is in a lot of contact with Dani. I got a letter in the mail from Alex. Said he held out hope while I hadn't blocked him, but once I did he was distraught. He told me he doesn't want to freak me out by turning up in person, and I know that wouldn't look good for him anyway, but he just wanted to tell his side of the story. He said he was pressured into doing stuff with the escorts and he only got a BJ. The other two were really pressuring him to do more, but he didn't and says he regrets even doing that. He admits he was angry at Dani because she told him he either told me about the cheating or she would, but he knew he was totally in the wrong. He knew I would dump him for cheating, so he took everything he could get his hands on. He's not even sure what he took, and while he remembers pulling off Dani's shoes he doesn't remember anything else. So he was just peer pressured and drunk and drugged up, and he did nothing wrong at all basically. I was just disgusted to read this. His total lack of accountability is just sickening. I'm not responding to him ever. Any future mail goes unopened into the trash. I'm in therapy, but it's early days and I'm not seeing progress yet. That leaves me with Marcus. He knows I've been angry with him and he is desperate to talk it out. I probably feel too much anger towards him but find it hard not to. He is still feeling very guilty over making Dani stay. I don't understand why I feel so angry towards him. It's not on the level of anger I feel towards Alex by any means, but I'm still hesitant to talk to him. I think he made mistakes, but in my heart I know he was dealing with a lot that morning, but I just wouldn't have been there when Alex got home if I had known the truth. I feel Marcus should have told me everything, as I was the one who had to face Alex alone. I know I should hear him out, but I'm finding it very hard. How can I get past this? I want to clear the air with him even if we are never friends, and me cutting him out is really having a terrible effect on him. I know he rescued Dani and has been constantly checking up on her. I know he can be a good guy, but part of me feels he wasn't all good that weekend. I don't know. I haven't touched this in therapy as we are just starting and are talking about Alex. I need advice on how to deal with this. I wanted to give it some time, but Marcus' mental health is pretty poor, and maybe by not meeting him I'm just making him worse? How can I find it in me to just bite the bullet and hear him out? Why am I so angry with him? How can I move past this? I don't want to be angry at him. I'm so exhausted from being angry at him and at Alex, and I want it to stop, at least towards Marcus. But it won't. Help! I'm visiting Dani for the weekend that should have been my wedding. We are going to have a low TR's marathon and her mother is making a cheesecake. My own family has been wonderful in every way, but Dani is truly why I'm still standing. Edit. Forgot to say it wasn't an Airbnb. It was just a privately rented house. I just assumed incorrectly it was. Now to the next story, story 2. Am I the asshole for refusing to spend Halloween with my family after they ruined it for me years ago and now blame me for their DUI? Original post. As the title says, this happened on Halloween. I'm 25M and 5 years ago my parents wanted to go to my sister's house for Halloween. At the time I was still living with them, and I wanted to go to a party a friend was hosting. But my parents were adamant that I go with them instead because they wanted us all to be together. I still wanted to go to my friend's party, and my parents suggested a compromise in which I go to my sister's party first. Then my friends. I figured it couldn't hurt to do both, so I agreed since I liked helping my nephews with trick-or-treating. And that year I was wearing an inflatable ninja costume I was really eager to have fun in. Well, I was ready and waiting in the costume for hours. And by the time we finally took the kids out, most houses stopped giving candy and there was hardly anybody walking around. And we only went around the block, that's it. Then when I wanted to go to my friend's house, my parents guilted me into staying because they needed me as a designated driver. I would have driven them home first and then gone to my friend's party. But my parents just kept drinking and refused to leave. So I lost out on going to the other party and cussed my parents out for making me miss it and not even being able to enjoy my Halloween. They just said that it was too late, and what could they do about it? They didn't even attempt to make it up to me. I refused to speak with them later. So they confronted me and I said I didn't even want to look at them because they broke their promise. Then I said that unless they could somehow pull a new Halloween party with all my friends out of their asses, then they had completely screwed me over. Then I left before they could say anything else to me. My friends were nearly as upset as I was, but my sister told me off and said I was callous because she had wanted me there. Ever since that year I only spent Halloween with friends. This year my parents begged me to go with them to my sister's instead. I asked why and they wanted me to drive them. So I refused and said they just wanted a designated driver. And they'd already screwed me over before and didn't even attempt to make it better back then. And I didn't want to just sit around watching them get drunk with the only real highlight being helping kids trick or treat. I hung out with my friends and we had a blast with a farmyard party, but my sister called me up on Monday furious at me because our parents were pulled over on their way home and got a DUI, and that this would have never happened if I had driven them. And now most of the family is pissed at me. So AATA for refusing to drive my parents to my sister's house for Halloween because of something they did 5 years ago. Relevant comments. Comment 1. While you're 100% NTA for anything your parents did, you are weirdly bitter about a party you missed as a 19-year-old dude. You were an adult, you chose to stay. Nothing was stopping you from leaving. You need to recognize that you are responsible for your own choices, something your family doesn't seem to be good at. OOP. No, I was stopped from leaving because I couldn't take my parents' vehicle. We rode together and they refused to let me just borrow their car and come back. The bitterness is because they lied to me and then showed no remorse that they did. Comment 2. This is weird. Have they just done it on these 2 Halloween parties? Or do they do this at other times? Why didn't your sister drive them? Or sister's partner if they're in the picture? If she has kids there surely has to be a sober adult there. Obviously it's not your fault your parents drove drunk. NTA OOP. They've driven drunk several times. I didn't mind driving them to some places. But then they wanted me as a designated driver all the time. And they only wanted me to drive their car, not mine. So I made it clear to them that I wouldn't be their driver if I had plans. Which I did. Update. My sister and her husband spotted my post a few days after I made it and called me. My sister said she's ashamed of herself and now sees my point of view. At first she was furious I made the post. But her husband chewed her out for not ever sticking up for me because he really had no idea my parents treated me this badly. And after they both read the comments she realized how toxic this whole dynamic was. At first she blamed it on the stress of being a mother. But quickly took that back and said she really has no excuse for never considering me in these situations. We talked and she remarked how I've always loved Halloween ever since I was a little kid. And she let my parents ruin it for me that day 5 years ago, even though she knew about the promise they broke. The conversation got pretty emotional and she apologized heavily because she had put the blame on me when she was the one who let our parents drink and drive year after year. I've got more details now. And my mother is actually the one who got the DUI. I'd assumed our father. But he apparently was so wasted that he was on the verge of passing out, and pretty much did as soon as he was in the car. Our mother insisted that she was okay to drive and then ran a red light. That's how a cop spotted her and she was arrested. The car was impounded and our father was escorted home by police to sleep it off. He woke up with a raging hangover and a temper to match. Then took it all out on my sister over the phone, and she in turn took it out on me. Our mother has had her license suspended, the car cost them $600 to get out of impound, and both of my parents were putting this on me. Until we all ganged up on them for what they've been doing. Our father fought us every step of the way. But we made it clear they've been putting their alcoholism above everything else and we're tired of it because there have been a lot of broken promises from them all around. Our mother promised to do better, but our father just stayed silent and wouldn't make eye contact with any of us. Things are tense now. But I'm glad my sister is finally on my side in all of this.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.